It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be pod-smacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello, Liberty One viewers. Glad to have you with me today on this, I'm doing this on the, 21st of November already, Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Welcome to the show. For those of you who are downloading the podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Plus, Google Play, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, etc. Thank you. Thanks for doing that, and share it on social media, will ya? Greatly appreciate it. And again, Liberty One viewers, thank you. If you're not a member yet of Liberty One TV, please do so, because it's only 10 cents a day, or 33 cents a day, $10 a month, I should say, and $99 a year. You can also advertise. Look, I've got an advertiser. Dots Homestyle Pretzels. Hold on. These are the sickest pretzels you've ever had in your life. These are unbelievable. Dots Homestyle Pretzels. If you don't have them in the store, find a store that has them, because they're not like your normal pretzels. You can't stop eating them. You know that the potato chip thing where you can't just eat one? That's what it is with these. They've got a little spice to them. They've got an intense flavor to them that is different than normal pretzels. It's not just salt. You won't need mustard. You won't need anything. Dots homemade pretzels. Ask for them, baby. And by the way, they're from North Dakota, but they're spreading all over the country. They're opening a new plant in Lenexa, Kansas. They just did. And then they're opening a plant in Phoenix. So they are up and comers, folks. All right. Let's get into some stuff here. We got a lot of harassy stuff, what's going on in Washington, D.C., what's going on in Hollywood. They're just like us, aren't they? No, they're not. They're bookends of depravity. Bookends of depravity on the country, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll get to the latest from D.C. and the entertainment world in just 1 second. I want to mention this story because there are a lot of people, Democrats are already high-fiving one another, convinced that they're going to sweep both houses of Congress. 2018, they're going to sweep the Senate, I guess, right? I don't know about that. Democrat Party, the Democrat National Committee just posted its worst October fundraising number in 15 years, bringing in only $3.9 million for the month. All right, so to find an October fundraising number that low, you got to go way back. And by the way, Tom Perez, the DNC chair, is a creep. I mean, just a creep. There's nothing likable about him. He's got a bad message. He is a bad messenger. But you got to go back to about 15 years, 2002. Republican National Committee raised $9.2 million in October, and had raised $113 million so far in 2017. Through October of 2017, the DNC has raised just $50 million, well short of DNC Chair Perez' lofty goal of doubling the organization budget from $50 to $100 million. Where's the fire, kids? Where's the fire? Where's the excitement? Where's the passion? I know Hillary Clinton got her butt kicked, and it was demoralizing and everything. But if you are so angry and upset about Donald Trump, you're going to have to do better than this if you think you're going to sweep anything. You'll be sweeping the floor is what you'll be doing. Yeah, I said that. Snap. So here's the latest. Yesterday we heard about Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose, PBS, CBS, 60 Minutes, an esteemed journalist who has many trophies and Emmys and all sorts of stuff. CBS and PBS have pushed him out. Apparently, he has harassed at least 8 women. 5 of them claim Rose put his hand on their thighs to see how they'd react to. Other women say Rose would walk out of his shower naked while they were present. This is, it's just hard for me to believe this happens, And maybe I'm far removed from it. I'm a Midwestern. I did live in D.C. for about a dozen years. And I'm so far removed from this kind of behavior. And I'm not meaning to say I'm some sort of a prude or anything. But honestly, who does this? Who does this? And the last couple of days, the dominoes were falling. Boonk, 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 getting closer to Charlie Rose. And you know that he was sweating bullets before this came out in a Washington Post report yesterday. This is the funniest thing. He says, I deeply apologize for my inappropriate behavior. In my 45 years of journalism, I have prided myself on being an advocate for the careers of women with whom I've worked. Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, I was an advocate for those who, gave me a BJ. Nevertheless, in the past few days, claims have been made about my behavior towards some former female colleagues. This is just amazing. It's just amazing. You've got all these people. Joy Behar the other day said that Al Franken was an advocate for women. And I say the only reason why he's an advocate for women is he's an advocate for Democrat women getting abortions and free contraception, which generally covers up the evidence of a sexual assault. Can't have one of those pesky unwanted pregnancies with an intern, can you there? Two former employees of Charlie Rose said that the young female assistants and producers Rose would constantly surround himself with were known as Charlie's Angels. You know what? I didn't even get my Charlie Rose theme song out here. Let me go ahead and find my Charlie Rose theme song. Hold on one second. I've got Christmas music on my. Here it is. Let's talk about Charlie Rose.
Every rose has its thorn.
Charlie Rose wants to bone.
Just like every night has its dawn. Just like every...
I'm ruining this Poison song for you hairband lovers of the 1980s. I apologize. So it looks like PBS Bloomberg announced they will no longer air his eponymous talk show. What's eponymous? What is eponymous? I've never used that word before. Within an hour of the Post publishing the story. 3 of the women who came forward agreed to use their names, while the other 5 accusers who spoke on record asked if that their identities be covered up for fear of repercussions. Kyle Godfrey Ryan was one of the 3 who agreed to let the Post let her name her, as she detailed her time working with Rose's assistants a decade ago in New York City. Claims Rose walked around naked in front of her at least a dozen times while the 2 were working in his home. Godfrey Ryan also alleged that Rose would call her at night or early in the morning to describe his fantasies of seeing her swim naked in his pool. What a creep-ass bastard. She was later fired by Rose. She claims when he learned about that she had shared emails of his behavior with a friend. That move came shortly after Godfrey Ryan said she approached Rose's longtime producer, Yvette Vega, about the calls. Oh, and here's the report. Yeah, hold on, let me find the report here. Because, this isn't... You got a couple little pieces from the CBS about Charlie Rose, the report that I heard. Here's number one, the statement that he had to make.
In a statement, CBS News says he's suspended immediately while we look into this matter. These allegations are extremely disturbing, and we take them very seriously. Vlad and Anne-Marie, the Washington Post reporter, told us more than a dozen other women have reached out wanting to speak or share their stories since the article appeared yesterday.
Okay. How does it stay silent? How do these guys get away with this for years and years and years? Here's a little bit more from CBS. This is Charlie's, I guess, personal assistant telling the troubled woman who had complaints about him assaulting her. It's just Charlie being Charlie.
In 2014, he was one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world.
He has such power over the show. He owns the show. There is no human resources department in the Charlie Rose show. Many of these women said that even if they wanted to file an official complaint, they wouldn't even know who to go to.
One of the accusers, former assistant Kyle Godfrey Ryan, said in a Facebook post that the work environment at the Charlie Rose show supported a spectrum of misconduct from unhealthy boundaries to outright physical abuse. She's one of 2 women who told the Washington Post they reported Rose's behavior to the show's executive producer, Yvette Vega. She claims Vega would shrug and just say, "That's just Charlie being Charlie."
Is Charlie Rose that powerful? You know? Is he that powerful that he could keep a dozen women? There's 12 more, so there's 8. Now 12, that's 20. One intern who worked for Rose in the 90s said she was summoned to work the desk at his home in New York, where he would shower and use the bathroom with the door open. She claims that at one point he turned on the shower and immediately began calling her name. When she refused to respond, he, to her, suddenly appeared standing over her in the nude, wearing nothing but a towel. The intern working for Rose 10 years later claimed that he groped her breasts while also trying to get her to spend the night at his Bellport home in Long Island. She claims to have refused that offer several times. Conduct continued for so long, despite the staff numbering approximately 15 people ever since the show began in 1991 because of Rose's pull, said the intern. Everybody's terrified of him. He creates this environment of constant fear, and then he'll shine a little spotlight on you and make you feel amazing. A woman who asked to remain anonymous said she had agreed to meet with him at his home in 2010 to discuss a job. That interview quickly took a turn, with the woman claiming that Rose appeared in an untethered robe soon after she arrived and tried to stick his hand down the front of her pants. Unbelievable. And he claims he thought it was consensual. Rhea Bravo, an intern when she worked for Rose in 2007 with a 29-year-old student at Columbia in graduate school for international relations. She was broke at the time. While the internship with Rose was unpaid, it had been a long dream of hers to work for the show. Fate seemed to be smiling upon her when she received an email from Rose one day offering her to pay he was going to pay her. He was going to pay her $1,500 or $2,500 a week. Says you'll be here from Monday, August 13th through Friday, August 17th. Your primary responsibilities are organize and catalog my books and tapes, blah, blah, blah. Things were going fine until Rose returned to the house drunk one night and asked her to have a glass of wine with him and talk. He came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her. He was 50 years her senior. On her next trip to Bellport, she caught a glimpse of Rose naked as he took an outdoor shower. Unbelievable. Creeps. Creeps. And now we have John Conyers, powerful man, civil rights activist on the Capitol Hill, longest-serving member of the House. Longest-serving member of the House. Settled a wrongful dismissal complaint 2015 with a former employee who alleged she was fired because she would not succumb to his sexual advances. Documents from the complaint obtained by BuzzFeed News, including 4 signed affidavits, 3 which are notarized, from former staff members who alleged that Conyers, the ranking Democrat on the powerful House Judiciary Committee, repeatedly made sexual advances to female staff in requests that included requests for sexual favors, contacting and transporting other women with whom they believed Conyers was having affairs, caressing their hands sexually, and rubbing their legs and backs in public. The documents also reveal the secret mechanism by which Congress has kept an unknown number of sexual harassment allegations secret. A grinding, closely held process that left the alleged victim feeling, like she had no other option than to stay quiet and accept the settlement. Says I was basically blackballed. There's nothing I could do. Her settlement came from Conyers' office rather than the congressional budget that has been used to pay off a host, I think 264 sexual harassment suits, $15 million. This actually came from Conyers. In one case, Conyers, one of Conyers' former employees was offered a settlement in exchange for her silence that would be paid out of Conyers' taxpayer-funded office budget. His office would rehire the woman as a temporary employee despite her being directed not to come into the office or do any actual work, according to the document. The complainant would receive a total amount of $27,000 over 3 months. Matthew Peterson, worked at a law clerk representing the complainant. He says it's designed to be a cover-up. But this goes on and on and on. 2 staffers alleged in their signed affidavits Conyers used congressional resources to fly in women they believed he was, having affairs with. Another said she was tasked with driving women to and from Conyers' apartment and hotel rooms. That's got to make Mrs. Conyers feel good. On one occasion, one woman alleges that Conyers asked her to work out of his home for the evening, but when she arrived, the congressman started talking about his sexual desires. She allegedly, he told her he needed her to touch it, referring to his penis, or find him a woman who would meet his demands. She alleged Conyers made her work nights, evenings, and holidays to keep him company. Another incident. Former employee alleged the congressman insisted she would stay in his room while they traveled together at a fundraising event. When she told him that she would not stay with him, he told her to just cuddle up with me and caress me before you go. Unbelievable. Apparently, he Representative Conyers strongly postulated that the performance of personal service or favors would be looked upon favorably and lead to salary increases or promotions. Quid pro quo. Unbelievable. Male employee wrote that he witnessed Representative Conyers rub the legs and other body parts of the complainant in which what appeared to be a sexual manner. Another staffer said Conyers' reputation made people fearful to speak out against him. Aside from being the longest-serving House member and ranking member of the powerful committee, Conyers, a civil rights icon, lauded by Martin Luther King Jr. and is as a founding member of the Congressional Black Caucus. One staffer said, "Your story won't do shit to him. He's untouchable. He's untouchable." House Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi was not aware of the settlement. Sure. Give me a frickin' break. Everybody knew about it. Conyers' wife, former Detroit City Councilor Monica Conyers, was sentenced to 3 years in prison over bribery charges in 2010. Nice couple. And you got all these women who say that they're obviously Charlie Rose, the champion for women, Al Franken, champion for women, and of course Maxine Waters, earlier this year, had a speech where she lauded the great John Conyers and his work with women. Here she is.
You know, there is a member of Congress who has been supportive of women for many, many years.
Yeah.
He is quiet, he is confident, he is powerful, but he has impeccable integrity on all of our issues. Give John Conyers a big round of applause. There is a member of...
Sure. I don't like to make everything political, but in this case, there's a thread. All of these growing number of men accused of sexually abusing, sexually harassing, whatnot, they're all Democrats. Harvey Weinstein, Democrat donor. Louis C.K., Democrat activist. Brett Ratner, Hollywood director, Democrat donor. You've got Andy Dick, Democrat donor. Groping sexual harassment. Al Franken, Democrat senator. Kevin Spacey, Democrat mega donor activist. You've got Rick Najera, director of CBS Diversity Showcase. He's been accused of sexual harassment, Democrat donor. Anthony Weiner, Democrat politician. You all know about that. Bill Clinton, Democrat politician. Elliot Spitzer, he caught patronizing prostitutes, Democrat politician, commentator. John Edwards, encouraging his mistress to abort their love child to avoid a larger scandal, Democrat politician. Mel Reynolds, former congressman, raped a 16-year-old, Democrat politician. Robert Menendez, senator, sex with underage prostitutes, Democrat politician. Al Gore, sexual assault of a masseuse, Democrat politician. John Conyers, we just did that. Charlie Rose. Glenn Thrush, reporter, liberal. All big supporters of women. If you mean like supporting them, like lifting them up on your lap, yeah, I could see that. Florida Democrat Party Chairman Stephen Biddle tendered his resignation Friday after a report alleged that he had sexually harassed women and created a hostile work environment. Politico released a report, quoted 6 women accusing him of sexual harassment. The report said that Biddle exhibited creepy behavior towards them, such as making inappropriate comments about their breasts. None of the women quoted accused him of sexual assault or groping, though. But he's stepping down anyway. Melissa Gilbert is accusing Oliver Stone. She apparently was going to audition for the Doors, the movie The Doors, the Jim Morrison movie, which I never understood Jim Morrison. He's just a creep and way overrated. She had gone in for an audition. She was telling her story without any names with Andy Cohen's satellite radio show. She kept the accusations anonymous, saying she was humiliated during an audition because she had embarrassed this person in a social situation. Well, apparently it was Oliver Stone. And he was ready to get back at her. Gilbert said she was auditioning for Meg Ryan's character in the movie. She said that she, went into detail about the scene that she had read, a scene he said he wrote especially for her. The scene had her on her hands and knees saying, "Do me, baby." Gilbert said that Stone asked her to stage it, and she refused and left the audition crying. By the way, former model Carrie Stevens claimed that the director groped her during a party. So, this sort of stuff is going on all over the place. All over the place. And like I said, the bookends of depravity. Bookends of depravity. I'm I'm just getting a text from my wife. Podcast. Yeah, leave me alone. What the heck? Yeah, irritating. All righty. Oh, LeVar Ball. This is the father of the UCLA player, LiAngelo Ball, one of the guys who was arrested in China, UCLA players, and Donald Trump just happened to be in China. And you know what happened. He saved the kid's ass. All right? He saved the kid's ass. Donald Trump holds sway. Donald Trump got the royal treatment in China. China knows that Donald Trump isn't here to mess around. China knows that the USA has its own interests, number one. And then you'll work with us if you want to keep this thing going. But LeVar Ball is an arrogant ass. He was on with Chris Cuomo. He refuses to acknowledge that the president had anything to do with this. Here is a couple sound bites, and then this idiotic exchange between him and Cuomo, where he demanded that Chris Cuomo thank him for appearing on the show. It's way out there. Here is cut number one from LeVar Ball.
The president finds out about it. He, of course, is in China. He's meeting with President Xi. He gets involved. The boys are released. They get to come back home, which was never a certainty until he got involved. He says that
how do you know? How do you know it wasn't involved before I even knew that? I mean, he didn't even know they was over there and like that. Okay, what was the reason for him going over there in the first place?
The non sequitur. Okay, first of all, non sequitur. If you don't know, Mr. Ball, why he was over there, he was doing a tour of Asia. He went to Vietnam. He went to Korea. He went to China. If you were paying attention, you know this. And by the way, he knew your son was in jail, probably for a couple of reasons. A, it was all over the news. And B, he's a freaking president.
President was in China to meet with the president of China and discuss trade matters, but he certainly was informed
and that's
about
before...
the boys when he was in China, and that's why he got involved, he says.
Okay, he didn't get involved till he got to China?
This guy doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't even know when Trump was there.
I don't understand your question.
So he wasn't going over there beforehand?
He was going over there
before.
What are you trying to say?
It wasn't like he was in the U.S. and said, okay, there's 3 kids in China. I need to go over there and get them.
Okay.
That wasn't a thought process.
The president wouldn't have gone over and gotten your damn son. The president of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, would not have gone over and gotten your damned son, who got caught shoplifting from 3 designer boutiques. Probably a good reflection on your fathering principles. This man's arrogance and hubris are just amazing. He's got an amazing, just a really bad attitude. He is entitled. He is arrogant. Here's a little bit more from him.
What we're talking about right now is a lot of stuff about my son just because his last name is Ball. We're not even talking about the other 2 kids.
Well, to be honest,
you're the one who mouthed off.
We're talking about your son.
Thank you.
We're talking about your son.
I'm talking about my son too.
Right, but we're talking about your son.
What a douche.
Because of you and what you said. This isn't picking on your son. It's because of how you inserted yourself into this and seemed to disrespect the president's efforts.
It's when somebody asks me a question. That's not disrespectful if I feel nobody did anything. I don't have to say go around saying thank you to everybody.
Okay, so he was asked a question about Donald Trump. And he refused to thank Donald Trump, even though everybody in the world knows the reason why his son's ass is back over here and not in a Chinese prison is because of Donald Trump. Now here's where he gets really arrogant, where he expects the president to come to him.
Did anything. I don't have to say go around saying thank you to everybody. I mean,
you don't have to go around saying thank you to everybody.
I didn't shake his hand. He didn't have to say that, but I'm just saying. If I have to know what somebody's doing before I say thank you. I'm just not going to go around saying thank you.
All right, so let's...
Now, you come and shake my hand and meet me or meet my son or anybody and then say, you know what, maybe I can help you out. Okay, let's do it that way. But just because people say things, it's supposed to be true, like, hey, I stopped them from saving 10 years. Maybe we was doing some talking with some other people before he even got there.
Yeah, I'm sure you have more pull than the president of the United States, you arrogant ass. He wants the president to fly over and get his son. That's one thing. And then he wants the president to come to him and shake his hand. What a complete and utter arrogant douche. And here's where it gets really stupid, because it's about thanking the president, but LeVar Ball wants Chris Cuomo to kneel before him and thank him for appearing on his show.
I think
But you know, I don't get easily tussled like that.
I think you are. I think you're very clever. I see your big smile on your face.
Are you going to say thank you to me?
I'm going to say thank you at the end of this interview. I will thank you. I guarantee
No, are you going to say thank me now?
This is unbelievable.
Are you going to thank me now?
You know what?
Are you going to thank me now?
Not yet. You haven't earned it yet.
Why are you going to thank me?
Haven't earned it yet.
But no, why are you not going to thank me?
Haven't
why are you
earned it
thank
yet.
me right now?
When you
like
earn
the
it,
word
I'll
thank you?
We're still
like
short on
thank you?
We're still short. Your son said thank you,
You can say
for
thank
helping
you. Can
him
you
get
say
out
thank
of
you,
China.
Mr. LeVar Ball?
I will
Can you
thank you
say
at the
thank you,
end
Mr.
of the
LeVar
interview.
Ball, for having this?
Listen.
How about we do it now?
Mr. LeVar Ball, you are going to be on and gone so quickly, you will fade out of the public conscious in seconds.
I just want to hear it.
You know what? I'll show you what.
I just want to hear it now.
Just to be decent, because it's a nice thing to do,
Yeah.
Mr. Ball, thank you
now
for
'cause it's a
being
nice
here
thing
with
to do,
me
see?
on
Now you
CNN tonight.
Oh.
Don Lemon thanks you
Now, how hard?
from wherever
how
he is.
hard was that?
Why don't you thank the president then, you a-hole?
In fact,
Now,
Don
why
Lemon
are
should
you
thank
thanking me,
me for talking to you on his show right now.
Hey,
Why owes me
are you
thanks.
thanking me, though? Just to say thank you?
Wait, hold on. Will you thank me?
Yeah, this is just stupid. Just stupid. Shannon Sharp has a show on Fox Sports 1's Undisputed. Shannon Sharp, ex-football player, African-American man. You'd recognize him if you saw him. Here's what he had to say about LeVar Ball and President Trump.
I can assure you, even the people that dislike President Trump the most would agree that LeVar Ball is in the wrong in this situation.
Yep.
I guarantee you that. You might dislike what he's done, what he said, and who he is, but what he had some effect on these kids coming home.
It sure seemed like it.
But see, now, everybody want to talk big and bad. Oh, he ain't do nothing. Now President Trump say, I tell you what, because see, first of all, if your son would have kept it, President Trump would have said nothing about your boy. If your son would have kept his sticky-ass fingers in his pockets and not take people's stuff in China, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, yes, of course. Of course. But it is amazing how this father, the arrogance and hubris of this man, you've got he didn't even know why the president was there. And he gives no credit to the president. He's saying, well, there might have been some stuff going on behind the scenes on my side. Well, yeah, you got a lot of pull over in China there, doofus. Your boy would still be in jail. You have no pull. Being a UCLA basketball player doesn't mean anything in China. He's, goodbye. Your 30 seconds of fame or whatever the hell it is over. Goodbye. So, saw an article by Melissa Matthews, and, this is not untypical of the media. She immediately drew a comparison between Charles Manson and Donald Trump with regard to language to gain followers. I'm going to read some of this to you, and then I'm going to respond with how Barack Obama is much more like Charles Manson than Donald Trump ever could be. The death of cult leader and convicted murderer Charles Manson resurfaces tales from his twisted family's killing spree after nearly 4 decades. According to psychoanalyst Mark Smaller, past president of the American Psychoanalytic Association, part of Manson's power lay in the type of language he used. Notably, Manson was able to speak in a way that engaged those who felt marginalized or alienated. Smaller is clear that he does not believe President Donald Trump is similar to the convicted killer, but you're writing an article about how similar he is to the convicted killer, or that their followers have any shared beliefs or characteristics, but you're writing an article comparing their followers' shared beliefs and characteristics. But she did say we can look at the current president to see how language is used to form a bond with followers. Quote, our current president speaks in an emotional or effective way to large numbers of people in our country who feel a kind of isolation or disconnection from the government, that feel they feel very responded to and become his political base. The same thing happened with Barack Obama, maybe even more so. Remember, the sea levels will drop, all of that. There will be hope and change. According to the psychoanalyst, cult followers like those in the Manson family are so seduced by feelings of acceptance and understanding that they accept their leaders' ideologies regardless of how destructive or dangerous they may be. And this is again written from a very negative towards Donald Trump, saying right there that the ideologies are dangerous and destructive, making the comparison that Donald Trump's ideologies are dangerous and destructive. She's a tool. It's not even the content of what the charismatic leader says. He or she is able to do it in an emotional way. Hope and change. What the hell does hope and change mean? What does hope and change? What are you going to do to get hope and change? And when are you going to cross that threshold where you know you've gotten hope and change? Really? You want to talk about speaking in vagaries? Oh. Smaller doesn't have specifics on what Manson may have told his followers, but said cult leaders may do things like, or say things like, your parents don't really care about you. Your community doesn't care about you. The government doesn't really care about you. Donald Trump said none of those things. But I'm not only going to care about you, I'm going to take care of you. So you've got Barack Obama promising free health care. Obama phones. Everything's free. I'm going to take care of you. I understand how angry, neglected, and hurt you feel. You remember the Obama rallies in 2008 where people would pass out, and he'd say, "Here, we got to help him out, give him some water," and he was loving it. They fawning on themselves and passing out from this nearly Christ-like figure in front of them, and they're saying that Donald Trump is like this. Well, I'm not that person. I like to hear him because he doesn't talk like any other politician. As far as any sort of connection or expecting that I expect him to save me in some sort of way, no, not at all. Here's why I like him. I like him because he's given the government what for. He's draining the swamp. He's getting rid of regulations. The economy is growing at a 3% tick, and it's going to go up in the fourth quarter, probably into the 4s to mid 4s. Okay. I like the fact that he's politically incorrect. I like the fact that he's going to build a wall. I like the fact that 70% of illegal immigration across the southern border has stopped just because of policy. I like the fact that they're getting ready to pass a massive tax overhaul, which reduces taxes for a lot of people, including corporations. The highest tax rate in the world will bring business back here. Manufacturing is up, home building up, unemployment down, food stamp usage down. Does that sound like a cult member to you? Does it sound like somebody who's like, oh, yes, Donald Trump? No. I like what he's doing. I don't particularly care about some of the things he says. Some of them are a little embarrassing. The tweets particularly. But I'm not a cult member. There was much more culty behavior with Barack Obama. Okay? Much with the Hope poster. Remember that? Everybody had the iconic poster. Hang up everywhere. They had the Obama salute. Remember that? They had the O. They did the O with their hands at rallies. They had the almost Nuremberg-esque rally with the acceptance speech at a Grandois Stadium in, Denver. They had the Doric columns. Oh, wow. I mean, you really got to stretch. Donald Trump is he does not have a lot of finesse with the way he speaks. He connects on a basic level. I'd like to say that he speaks about the level of a 12-year-old. And he does. He does. Guess what? So does television. So does television. It really does. I want to mention this. Jared Brooke wrote a piece for Fox News talking about sexual misconduct by Al Franken, Roy Moore, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey, Sliced Alone, Mark Halperin. Now John Conyers, now Charlie Rose. Why are so many men doing so many bad things to girls and women and sometimes to boys and men? This grows out of the way boys were formed early in life, that women are sex objects whose primary function is to give men pleasure. Yeah, I get that. So we try to mend the broken lives of sexual assault victims. We have a responsibility as a society to do something to stop the boys of today from growing up to engage in sexual misconduct tomorrow. Now, this leans into the internet porn realm of the spectrum, and none of the men who are currently being named grew up with the internet. They didn't. I'm concerned where we go with a generation raised on the internet and unfettered access to pornography. Viewing pornography on a regular basis warps the mind and is like being addicted to a drug, and with even stronger doses needed to spark the desired effect. Currently, 90% of boys are exposed to pornography before the age of 18. We are allowing their minds to be poisoned. And I get it. I get it. At home, parents can install anti-porn filters like kids' Wi-Fi, but is that enough? What happens when the kids go to school? What happens if they own a cell phone and can find a Wi-Fi connection at the library or burger joint? To give a child a cell phone and expect him not to watch porn is like stuffing a backpack with cigarettes in a kid's pocket and saying, smoking is bad for you. This columnist says we need to hold porn companies accountable. Even porn stars told us that when we made our documentary that the question on adult websites, are you over 18, click yes or no, simply isn't enough, and it isn't. And I mean, when I was a kid, we had Playboys. There's some other, sundry magazines that I could get at the truck stop that I worked at, and my father would steal them from me, and then I'd steal them back. I worry about what's online because it is so easily accessible, and there's so much rot out there. There was a part of a survey said more than a third of young boys had seen sexual bondage online. Over half of the boys believe it's a realistic depiction of sex. Oh, well, you know what? Let's look at 50 Shades of Grey. All right, and that's a series of books and now movies that appeal to women in the suburbs. We need to teach our boys that women are deserving of their respect as equals, and we need to teach them that the civilized society imposes boundaries on all of us. Blah 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 blah. It's one of those talks you got to have. It's one of those talks you got to have. It used to be the Santa Claus talk, used to be the, whatever talk, and then it became the birds and the bees talk, and then it became the, oh, my God, you could be abducted talk. And now it's the porn talk. Now the big porn talk. Unbelievable. Couple more stories. Oh, I got to get to this in just a second. Why you shouldn't make your kids hug your relatives when they arrive at the Thanksgiving dinner. Why you should know. Economist Angus Eaton and Princeton University professor Ann Case told the Wall Street Journal that the opioid crisis, alcoholism, and suicide continue to aggravate the American white working class mortality rate. Dr. Deaton suggested that the country's white community split into two camps. White Americans with bachelor degrees continue to thrive, while white Americans without a bachelor degree face increasingly dire circumstances. And this is happening. This is happening. This started as far back as we can break out education and death certificates, which is 1990. It has been a slow, steady trend up in all of those for people without a BA. The two researchers suggested that America's white working class continues to have their institutions, family, church, and job, and disappear. They're disappearing. Having a job where you can actually ask a woman to marry you, and she would marry you. Now marriage is... rates among working class people are way down because the woman doesn't want to marry a guy who doesn't have a job. A lot of guys don't have jobs. And they're turning to the opioid crisis. The opioid crisis is gigantic. So the pillars of life, church, family, job have disappeared for the white working class in a way that it has really been the case for blacks. Yeah. American working class whites continue to have the pillars that held up their lives beginning to crumble. And then you combine alcoholism and opioid addiction and all. It doesn't sound very, very privilegey, does it? Does it? I'm out of full-time work, I'll just tell you. And I started this on my own. Started the video podcast, started the audio podcast. And that's what I did. That's just what I did. I'm going to change microphones here real quick, but this microphone is giving me fits. There we are. Okay, we're back. I'm expecting a new microphone today, by the way. We'll get this taken care of. It's kind of bothersome. Now, here we go. This is from Carol Markowicz. As our family, grandparents, cousins, aunts, and uncles arrive to celebrate holidays, there is one hard and fast rule in our home. Our children will stop what they are doing and will greet guests at the door with hugs. Do you do that with your family? You got to you got to go acknowledge who's at the door. That's just the way it is. If somebody's going to arrive, we don't get to see them all the time. You go acknowledge who's at the front door. Surprisingly, this has become controversial. Take the Parents Magazine piece by Kristen Codfelter, titled Reluctant Hugs, Why You Shouldn't Force Kids to Show Physical Affection. In it, sexuality educator Ariel Clark says it's never too early for kids to practice bodily anatomy, or autonomy, I should say. A few days ago, the Girl Scouts posted its own version of the rule in a piece titled Reminder, She Doesn't Owe Anyone a Hug, Not Even at the Holidays. On its Facebook page, it added, making her give hugs now can make her wonder if she owes another person physical affection when they brought her dinner or done something else seemingly nice for her later in life. The idea that making your kids hug their Aunt Ida will pressure them to trade affection for food or in perpetuity is absurd. It presupposes that you give your kids no other guidance whatsoever as they transition from innocent snuggles with family into more grown-up affection as adults. Do we have to be afraid of every damn tradition in this country? Every convention, everything that has come before us? Do we have to be afraid of it? Do we have to warn about everything? Dear God, we send our kids out of our houses with cell phones and knee pads and bike helmets, and they can't stay out after dark, and they can't be out of our sight. Back to the piece of hugging. Anything, if anything, hugging family would teach the difference between good touching and bad touching, though some insist on making the opposite connection. And you got to make sure you have the talk with the kids, because there could be a creepy uncle, and if the kid feels weird about the uncle, then the uncle doesn't get a hug. 2015 article on CNN titled, I Don't Own My Child's Body makes the same sordid leap. Katja Heder writes that she shudders at recent stories of Josh Dugar's inappropriate touching of his sisters, accusations of Bill Cosby sexually assaulted women after drugging them, and Jerry Sandusky, the former Penn State football coach, convicted of sexually abusing boys. Turning snuggles with grandpa into something sinister and comparing it to horrific monsters, abuse by monsters like Sandusky is a real problem. Lumping all affection into one jumbled ball only blurs the lines. Not everyone is a predator. In fact, most people are not. Teaching kids to live in that world where they fear anyone can hurt them at any time is deeply unhealthy. Thank you. Now, the Girl Scouts say you should offer high fives, handshakes, or a wave. If you are the kind of family that hugs and kisses when you get together, by all means, actively encourage your kids to do the same. You aren't teaching them anything about the wider world, nor are you telling them that people have license to touch them in a sexual way. Don't sexualize innocent interactions, and don't make your kids afraid of anyone. Of course. Of course. See, none of the hugs that I got from relatives when I was a kid were perverted. They were a little gross. Because, when you're kissed by an 80-year-old woman, sometimes they stray a little bit too close to the lips, and they've got a little spittle on there. And you're walking away with a little wet there, and you're all you want to do is go, the. Trust me, when you're little, it gets weird kissing old people. Old people don't realize it's creepy or just gross. Old people don't realize it because they love you. And they can't help it. They got old. So what? There you go. Finally, this is kind of funny. Just a food item. I thought this was kind of cool. Pringles has created an entire Thanksgiving meal in stackable potato chips this year. They've got new Thanksgiving dinner. It includes 8 flavors of chips: turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, cream corn, green bean casserole, macaroni and cheese, and pumpkin pie. They come in like a TV-style dinner tray. I'm going to go get some of these. I'm going to try these. They aren't available in stores. Well, I guess they were sent to the media. Well, crap, then I won't get one. One of the staffers at USA Today said they tasted all flavors and gave most flavors the thumbs up. The stuffing-flavored chip tastes most authentic. Cranberry flavor was the most unsettling, like a Fruit Loop chip. All in all, it had the chance to meet. If we had the chance to eat these chips again, we'd bite. I wish I could have got them. I wish I could have got them. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you'd like to join Liberty One TV, I wish you would, okay? We are heading into 2018. A lot of voices, a lot of conservative voices are being silenced on campus, at rallies, online, social media. This is not going anywhere. So if you would please join. It's only 10 cents a day or 33 cents a day, $10 a month, $99 a year. Also check out the swag line right up here. It's going to be added to the Liberty One TV site. My swag line is going to be added to a Liberty One TV site. You can be able to get this on all sorts of garments, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and whatnot. And I think you're really going to love the politically incorrect design. So I greatly appreciate that. Thank you for joining me, and we will be back Wednesday tomorrow, the day before Thanksgiving, and we'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.